There's something you've been putting off, not a task, not a meeting, not a bill, something bigger than that. A version of your life that you keep describing in the future tense. When things calm down, when the kids are older, when I have a little more saved up, you know exactly what I'm talking about because you've said those words before, maybe recently, maybe this morning, and here's what nobody says out loud. That version of your life, the one you keep postponing, it's not waiting for the right moment, it's quietly disappearing. One reasonable delay at a time. Today we're going to talk about that. Not to make you feel guilty, not to push you toward anything, but because somewhere between the life you're living and the life you keep describing, there's a distance worth understanding. Let's look at it together. Let me ask you something, and I want you to actually sit with it for a moment. If someone asked you today, not in theory, not on a good day, but today as you actually are you living the life you imagined for yourself? What would you say? Not the polished answer, not the one that sounds grateful and composed, the real one, the one that comes up at 2 a.m. when the house is quiet and there's nothing left to distract you. Most people, if they're honest, would say something like, not quite, or maybe just, not yet. Those two words, not yet, they sound like hope, and sometimes they are. But sometimes, and this is the part nobody talks about, not yet is just postponement wearing a more acceptable name. There's a difference between waiting for the right time and endlessly creating reasons why this isn't it. And most of us have been doing the second one for longer than we'd like to admit. Here's what I've noticed about people who finally close that distance between the life they're living and the life they kept describing. It's never because the timing became perfect. It's never because all the pieces finally aligned. It's never because they woke up one morning and felt ready. It's because they stopped waiting for permission. Permission from the bank account, permission from the calendar, permission from the version of themselves they thought they needed to become first. Let me tell you about a pattern I've seen repeated so many times it stops surprising me. Someone spends their 30s building, working hard, saving when they can, handling what needs handling. They tell themselves, this is the season for sacrifice. The good part comes later. Then they reach their 40s, and later is supposed to be now. But somehow, it still isn't. Because now there's a mortgage that's bigger than expected, kids that need more than anticipated, parents who are getting older, a career that demands more than it gives back, and the good part, the version of life they promised themselves, gets pushed again. Not canceled, never canceled, just postponed. One more time, for very reasonable reasons. And here's what makes this so quietly devastating. Each postponement feels justified. Each delay has a legitimate explanation. It's never one big decision to give up. It's 1,000 small decisions to wait just a little longer. And slowly, without anyone choosing it, the life you were going to live becomes the life you were going to live. Past tense. I don't say that to be harsh. I say it because that sentence, that quiet shift from future to past, is something worth paying attention to before it happens, not after. The question isn't whether you've been postponing. Most of us have been, in ways large and small, in ways we can name and ways we can't quite articulate. The question is something different. It's this: what exactly are you waiting for? Not rhetorically, not as a challenge, as a genuine, honest question. Matt, if you could answer that right now, if you could write it down on a piece of paper, what is the specific thing you're waiting for before you start living the life you keep describing? Because here's what I've found. Most people have never actually asked themselves that question. They live with the feeling of postponement, the vague sense that the real version is coming, but they've never named the condition, never identified the threshold, never said, when X happens, I will finally begin. And without that clarity, the waiting has no endpoint, it just continues. Until one day it doesn't. There's a cost to postponement that never shows up on any statement. No bank sends you a bill for it, no accountant tracks it, no spreadsheet captures it, but it's real, and it compounds, just like money does. except in reverse. Let me explain what I mean. When you postpone an investment, the cost is visible, you can calculate it. You can look at a compound interest chart and see exactly what waiting 1 year costs you. The numbers are right there, concrete, measurable, undeniable. But when you postpone a life, the cost is invisible. It doesn't show up anywhere. It doesn't announce itself. It accumulates quietly in places that don't have names. In the conversations you didn't have, in the trips you almost took, in the version of yourself you kept meaning to become. In the slow, almost imperceptible shift from, "I'm going to do that," to, "I should have done that." That shift, that quiet movement from future to past, is the most expensive thing most people will ever experience, and they'll never see the invoice. I want to tell you about time, not in the motivational sense, not the life is short, seize the day version that everyone has heard so many times it stopped meaning anything. I mean time in a very specific, practical way. There are two kinds of time in a human life. The first kind is clock time, hours, days, years, the kind you can measure, the kind that passes whether you use it or not. The second kind is something different. It's the time that feels right for certain things. The time when your children still want to spend weekends with you. The time when your body still does what you ask it to do without negotiating. The time when your parents are still here to have the conversations you've been meaning to have. The time when the version of you that wants to travel, to create, to build, to rest, still has the energy and the circumstance to do it. That second kind of time doesn't follow a clock. It follows life. And life doesn't wait for your bank account to feel comfortable. It doesn't pause while you finish paying off the car. It doesn't hold on while you get things just a little more organized. It just moves. Quietly, consistently, indifferently. And here's the thing about that second kind of time. You rarely know it's ending until it's already gone. The last summer your kids thought you were the most interesting person in the world. You didn't know it was the last one. The last conversation with someone you loved. You didn't know it was the last one. The last year your body felt fully yours. You didn't know. None of us do. That's not meant to frighten you, it's meant to orient you. Because most financial advice treats money as the primary resource. Save more, invest more, grow more. And those things matter. We've talked about that and we'll talk about it more. But money is not the scarcest resource in your life. Time is. Specifically, the right kind of time for the right kind of living, and the relationship between money and that time is more complicated than most people realize. Here's what I mean. Money buys options. It buys the ability to say yes when something matters. It buys the freedom to say no when something doesn't. But options are only valuable if you're alive to use them, not just breathing, alive, present, engaged, capable of actually experiencing what the money was supposed to make possible. I've seen people spend 30 years building financial security and arrive at the moment when they finally have it, only to find that what they were saving it for is no longer available to them. Not because the money ran out, because the time did. The health changed, the relationship changed. The children grew up and built lives of their own. The parents passed, the energy shifted, and the life they were going to live was still in the future tense, permanently. That's the invisible cost of postponement. Not the money you didn't make, not the investments you didn't take, the life you didn't live, while you were getting ready to live it. This isn't a reason to stop planning. It isn't a reason to stop saving. It isn't a reason to stop being responsible. It's a reason to ask a different question. Not just, am I saving enough, but am I living enough? Are the things I keep postponing actually postponable, or are some of them quietly expiring right now, while I wait for the right moment? Blocco quattro. Cole. No 11 Labs. Let me say something that most financial channels will never say. Money is not the goal. I know that sounds obvious. Everyone says it. Money isn't everything. Money can't buy happiness. We've all heard those phrases so many times they've become wallpaper. We see them, we agree with them, we forget them immediately. And so I don't want to say that. I want to say something more specific, something that actually changes the way you make decisions. Here it is. Money is a tool, but here's what nobody tells you about tools. A tool without a clear purpose becomes an end in itself, and when that happens, when accumulating the tool becomes the goal, something very quiet and very costly occurs. You start making decisions for the tool instead of making decisions for the life. Let me show you what that looks like in practice. Someone works a job they've outgrown because it pays well. Someone stays in a city that no longer fits them because the financial roots are deep. Someone postpones the business they've been thinking about for 6 years because the salary feels too safe to leave. Someone keeps saying yes to things that drain them because the money is good. In each of those cases, the tool is making the decisions, not the person, not the life, the tool. And slowly, without anyone choosing it, the life gets built around the money instead of the money getting built around the life. That inversion, that quiet swap of means and ends, is one of the most common and least discussed sources of unhappiness among people who are, by any external measure, doing fine. They have the house, they have the income, they have the security, and yet something feels off. Not dramatically, not in a way that's easy to name, just off. Like they're living someone else's version of a good life, a version that made sense at some point, but hasn't been updated in a while. Here's the question I want you to sit with. When did you last update your definition of a good life? Not the one you inherited from your parents, not the one your industry tells you to want, not the one that made sense when you were 28 and just starting out. Your definition. Now, at this point in your life, with everything you've learned and lost and built and let go of, what does a good life actually look like for you? Because here's what I've found. Most people are working very hard toward a version of success that they never consciously chose. They inherited it, or they defaulted into it, or they chose it a long time ago and never stopped to ask if it still fits. And the money, the savings, the investments, the security they're building is pointed at a target that may or may not be the right one. This matters more than it might seem, because financial decisions don't happen in a vacuum. Every choice about money is also a choice about life. The job you keep because it pays well is also a choice about how you spend your days. The house you bought at the edge of your budget is also a choice about stress and flexibility and freedom. The retirement you're saving for is also a choice about what you believe your future is worth. None of these are purely financial decisions, they're life decisions that happen to involve money. And if you're making them without a clear picture of the life you're actually trying to build, you might be optimizing very efficiently for the wrong destination. Let me be direct about something. I'm not suggesting you quit your job. I'm not suggesting you abandon your responsibilities. I'm not suggesting you trade security for spontaneity. I'm suggesting something much simpler, that you get clear. Clear about what the money is for. Clear about what the life is supposed to look like. Clear about which of the things you keep postponing are actually essential to the version of yourself you're trying to become. Because clarity changes everything, not dramatically, not all at once. But over time, decision by decision, a person who knows what they're building makes very different choices than a person who is simply trying to accumulate enough to one day feel ready. Ready for what? That's the question. And the answer, your honest, specific, personal answer, is the most important financial document you'll ever write. If you've stayed with me this far, I want to stop for just a moment. Not to summarize, not to review what we've covered, just to say something directly. Most people who find a video like this leave before this point, not because the content isn't relevant, but because relevant content is uncomfortable. It asks something of you. It requires you to look at things you've been avoiding looking at. And avoidance is always easier than attention. You stayed, that matters. It tells me you're not here for distraction. You're not here to feel good for 30 minutes and go back to exactly where you were. You're here because something in this conversation is landing somewhere real. And if that's true, if this is the kind of thinking you want more of, I want to invite you to subscribe to this channel. Not because the numbers matter to me more than this conversation does, but because what we're doing here takes time. One video is a beginning, a conversation that continues across weeks and months about money, about life, about the decisions that quietly shape both. That's something different. That's something you can actually use. Every video on this channel is designed to stand on its own. You can watch them in any order. Come back to the ones that stay with you. Share the ones that say something you've been trying to say to someone you care about. If that resonates, you know what to do. Now, let's talk about what actually changes things. Because here's what I've noticed about people who finally close the distance between the life they're living and the life they keep describing. It's never one dramatic decision. It's not a resignation letter. It's not a sudden realization on a mountaintop. It's not a conversation that changes everything in an instant. It's something quieter than that. It's a series of small, deliberate recalibrations, a decision to stop making financial choices without first asking what life they're in service of, a decision to name the things they've been postponing instead of keeping them in a vague, comfortable future tense, a decision to treat time with the same seriousness they treat money. Let me make this concrete. 3 things. The first, name what you've been postponing. Not in general, not, I want to travel more or I want to feel less stressed. Specifically, what is the one thing, the most honest, most personal thing that you keep moving to the next season of your life? Write it down. Not because writing it makes it happen, but because naming something is the first act of taking it seriously. The second, ask why you're waiting, not rhetorically, genuinely. What is the specific condition you're waiting for? What has to be true before you allow yourself to begin? Because if you can name the condition, you can evaluate whether it's real. Some conditions are legitimate, some are just fear wearing the clothes of practicality. Knowing the difference changes what you do next. The third, connect your financial decisions to that answer. If the thing you've been postponing requires money, what would it take to make it possible in 2 years instead of 10? Not by abandoning responsibility, not by ignoring the real constraints of your life, but by treating it as a real goal, with a real number and a real plan. Because goals without numbers are wishes, and wishes don't show up in bank accounts. This is what it means to build a financial life around a life. Instead of building a life around financial accumulation, it's not a rejection of planning, it's a deeper version of it. One that starts with the question, what is all of this actually for? And works backward from the answer. That's the bigger picture. Not just the portfolio, not just the retirement account, not just the number. The life the number was always supposed to make possible. Ottimo, Ultimo Blocco, Colno 11 Labs. We started today with something simple, a version of your life that you keep describing in the future tense. And somewhere in this conversation, I hope something shifted, not dramatically, not in a way that requires you to change everything tomorrow, just a degree or two. Because that's how direction changes, not in sudden reversals, in small, almost imperceptible adjustments that, over time, lead somewhere completely different. A ship that changes course by 2 degrees arrives at a different continent, not immediately, not visibly at first, but inevitably. I want to say something about the word postponing. We've been using it throughout this conversation, and I want to leave you with a different relationship to it. Postponing isn't always wrong. Some things genuinely need to wait. Some seasons of life require sacrifice. Some delays are wisdom, not fear. The question isn't whether you've been postponing. The question is whether you know the difference between postponing with intention and postponing by default. Intentional postponing says, I'm choosing to wait because of this specific reason. And when that reason changes, I will begin. Default postponing says, it's not the right time yet, without ever defining what the right time would look like. One is a decision, the other is a drift. And most of us, if we're honest, have spent more time drifting than deciding. Not because we're weak, not because we don't care, but because drift is invisible. It doesn't feel like a choice, it feels like circumstance. And circumstance is very comfortable to blame. Here's what I want you to take from today. Not a strategy, not a framework, not a list of action items. Just a question. One question that I'd like you to carry with you, not to answer right now, not to solve before you go to sleep tonight, just to hold. The question is this: if nothing changes, if you keep making the same decisions, at the same pace, with the same priorities, where does the drift take you? Not where do you hope it takes you, not where you intend for it to take you. Where does it actually take you? That honest answer is the most important thing you'll hear all week, because the life you're building right now isn't the life you're imagining. It's the life you're actually choosing. Decision by decision, delay by delay, priority by priority. And the good news, the only news that actually matters, is that choosing is something you can do at any point, not just at the beginning, not just when everything is perfectly aligned, now, from exactly where you are, with exactly what you have. The version of your life you keep describing doesn't need perfect conditions. It needs a decision, just one. To stop treating it as something that happens later and start treating it as something that happens because of what you do today. That's the shift. Small, quiet, profound, and entirely yours to make. If this conversation stayed with you, if something here landed in a place that doesn't have a name yet, share it. Not for the channel, not for the numbers, for the person in your life who is also drifting and doesn't know it yet. The friend who keeps saying next year, the partner who has a version of their life they've stopped talking about, the person you love who deserves to hear this and hasn't found it yet. Send it to them. And if you have something to say, a thought, a question, something this brought to the surface, leave it in the comments. Tell me what you've been postponing, or tell me what you want us to talk about next. This channel grows in the direction its audience points. That direction is you. Thank you for being here, for staying, for thinking, for being honest with yourself. Even when honesty is uncomfortable, this is the bigger picture, and the life you keep postponing is still waiting for you.